The Bullet Journal Method by Ryder Carroll. Introduction. It's a parent's worst nightmare. Imagine a preschool classroom. The sound of children playing, the bright colors on the walls. Now, picture the scene shifting in an instant. A little boy, who just moments before was laughing and playing with a train set, suddenly struggles to breathe. The teachers rush over. His face turns blue. His eyes begin to close. The next few minutes are a blur of semi-controlled chaos. Someone is on the phone with 911. The other children are quietly herded out of the room. And then, the EMTs arrive, their giant bags and stretcher filling the doorway as they fire off rapid questions. The boy's mother is there. Her hands are shaking so badly she can barely search through her purse. Tears are streaming down her face as one of the EMTs begins CPR, the boy's small body jumping with each push to his chest. And in the middle of this heart-stopping terror, she does something unexpected. She pulls out a small, well-worn notebook. Grasping the last few pages, she rips them from the threaded spine and holds them out to the EMT asking her questions. I can't, she sobs, unable to speak. The EMT takes the pages, his eyes scanning them quickly. And then, as his partner announces, I have a pulse, the first EMT looks at the mother in astonishment. Thank you, he says, this is exactly what we need. On those torn pages was everything: the child's medication dosages, his specialist names and phone numbers, his allergies, and even a log of his recent seizures. That information, sent ahead to the hospital, allowed the doctors to act fast. It saved his life. The tool that held this life-saving information? It was a bullet journal. Today, we're going to explore a book that's about so much more than just organization. It's a book that has sold millions of copies around the world and has sparked a global movement. It's The Bullet Journal Method by Ryder Carroll. Carroll, a digital product designer, didn't set out to create a productivity empire. He was just a kid trying to find a way to manage his own mind. Diagnosed with attention deficit disorder, or ADD, in the 80s, he struggled to focus. He felt overwhelmed, distracted, and constantly behind. So, through years of trial and error, he began to piece together a system in a simple paper notebook, a system that finally worked the way his mind worked. He created it for himself, but it turned out he had created something the whole world needed. In an age of digital distraction, where we are more connected yet more disconnected from ourselves than ever before, this simple analog system became a lifeline for millions. So, here is my promise to you. By the end of our time together, you will understand how a simple notebook and a pen can become one of the most powerful tools you will ever own. It's a tool to declutter your mind, to focus on what truly matters, and to finally stop just reacting to your life and start intentionally designing it. This isn't just about to-do lists, it's about discovering who you are and who you want to become. Book summary. To really understand the power of the bullet journal, we have to first understand the problem it's designed to solve. And it's a problem that affects every single one of us. Have you ever felt busy? I mean, truly, deeply busy. Like your life is a never-ending game of whack-a-mole, where you're just stomping out one fire after another? Emails, texts, chores, notifications. You have a dozen different apps, a handful of sticky notes, and a mental to-do list a mile long. You feel like you're doing a million things, yet at the end of the day, you have this nagging feeling that you haven't really accomplished anything meaningful. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Ryder Carroll argues that this feeling of being constantly overwhelmed isn't a personal failure, it's a symptom of the modern world. We live in an age of information overload. One study found that simply having your smartphone in the same room, even if it's turned off, is enough to reduce your brain's capacity. This leads to something called decision fatigue. Think about it. From the moment you wake up, you're making choices. What to wear, what to eat, which email to answer first, what to listen to. It's endless. Even the most powerful people on earth try to fight this. President Obama famously wore only gray or blue suits. Mark Zuckerberg has his signature gray t-shirt. They understood a secret: your willpower is a finite resource. The more trivial decisions you make, the less mental energy you have left for the decisions that truly matter. This is where most of us get stuck. We are drowning in a sea of trivial choices, our attention scattered, our energy drained. We're busy, but we're not being productive. Because, as Carroll reminds us, being busy and being productive are not the same thing. Being busy is often just a form of well-dressed chaos. So, how do we escape this chaos? How do we find clarity? Carroll's first step is surprisingly simple. He says we need to create a mental inventory. Just like organizing a messy closet, you have to take everything out before you can decide what to keep. Find a blank sheet of paper and divide it into 3 columns. In the first column, write down everything you are currently working on. All your projects, tasks, and responsibilities. In the second column, write down everything you should be working on. These are the things nagging at you, the "I'll get to it later" items. And in the third column, write down everything you want to be working on. Your dreams, your passions, your curiosities. Don't judge, just write. Get it all out of your head and onto the page. Now, look at that list. This is a snapshot of where your time and energy are currently invested. The next step is the most important. For every single item on that list, ask yourself 2 simple questions. 1. Is this vital? Think rent, taxes, your job, the things with real consequences. 2. Does this matter? To you, or to someone you love? If the answer to both questions is no, then that item is a distraction. It's a task that's adding little to no value to your life, but it's still consuming your precious resources. Cross it out. Be ruthless. As the famous investor Warren Buffett once told his pilot, everything that isn't a top priority becomes your avoid-at-all-cost list. By doing this exercise, you're no longer operating on autopilot. You're taking the first step toward intentional living. You're creating a space between the demands of the world and your response. You're beginning to filter the signal from the noise. What you're left with are the things that truly deserve your attention, your responsibilities, and your goals. And this is where the bullet journal itself comes in. It's the tool we use to manage these essential things. But why a notebook? In a world of sophisticated apps, why go back to pen and paper? Carroll gives us a few powerful reasons. First, a notebook is a mental sanctuary. When you open it, you automatically unplug from the digital world. There are no notifications, no pop-ups, no temptations to check just one more thing. It's a quiet space where you can actually hear yourself think. Second, the act of writing by hand is a kind of superpower for your brain. Studies have shown that when we write things down, we engage with the information on a much deeper level than when we type. We remember it better, we understand it more clearly, and we're more likely to form new connections and insights. It's because it's inefficient. You can't write as fast as you can type, so you're forced to listen more closely and summarize things in your own words. You're not just transcribing, you're processing. Finally, a notebook is infinitely flexible. Most apps or planners force you into a system that someone else designed. But your life isn't pre-formatted. Your needs change. The bullet journal is designed to be a modular system, like a set of Lego blocks. You can combine the pieces in any way you want, creating a system that is perfectly tailored to you, right now. As your life evolves, your journal evolves with it. So, We have our why, to live a more intentional, focused life. And we have our tool, a simple notebook. Now, we need the how. We need the system itself. At the heart of the bullet journal is a technique Carroll calls rapid logging. This is the language the journal is written in. It's a way to capture your thoughts quickly and efficiently, stripping away everything that isn't essential. Instead of writing long, rambling sentences, you use short, objective bullet points. Each bullet point is categorized with a simple symbol. There are only 3 you need to know to get started. A simple dot represents a task. This is something you need to do? Call the doctor. An open circle O represents an event. This is an experience, like a meeting, a birthday, or an appointment. Oh, dentist appointment at 3 p.m. And a dash represents a note. This is any piece of information you don't want to forget, an idea, a fact, an observation. The new coffee shop on Main Street is great. That's it. Task, event, note, dot, circle, dash. This simple syntax turns a jumbled mess of thoughts into a clear, organized list. But the real magic happens in how these bullets change over time. A task, that little dot, isn't static. It has a life cycle. When you complete a task, you change the dot into an X. Simple, satisfying. If a task is no longer relevant, you just draw a line through it. Another responsibility gone. Another bit of mental energy reclaimed. If you don't finish a task today and decide to move it to tomorrow, you change the dot into a right-facing arrow. This is called migrating. And if you decide to schedule a task for a future date, you turn the dot into a left-facing arrow. This may sound a little technical, but in practice, it's incredibly intuitive. It turns your to-do list from a static, intimidating monument of things you haven't done into a dynamic, living system. These bullets are organized into what Carroll calls collections. A collection is just a home for related thoughts. Think of it as a dedicated page for a specific topic. The 4 core collections are the building blocks of your journal. First, you have the daily log. This is your workhorse. It's where you'll spend most of your time. You just write today's date at the top of a fresh page and start rapid logging your tasks, events, and notes as they happen throughout the day. It's designed to be a catch-all, a place to unburden your mind in real time without having to think about where things should go. Some days might fill several pages, other days might only take up a few lines. That's the beauty of it. It adapts to the rhythm of your life. Next, you have the monthly log. At the beginning of each month, you take a 2-page spread. On the left page, you create a calendar, simply listing the numbers 1 through 31 down the side. This gives you a bird's-eye view of your month. On the right page, you create your task page. This is where you migrate any unfinished tasks from the previous month and list your priorities for the month ahead. This monthly check-in is your chance to step back, reassess, and set your intentions. Then there's the future log. This lives at the very front of your notebook and is for any tasks or events that fall outside the current month. Have a wedding to attend in 6 months? A project due next semester? You log it in the future log, so you can forget about it for now, knowing it's safely captured and you'll be reminded of it when the time is right. Finally, there is the one collection to rule them all, the index. This is what holds the entire system together. The index lives on the very first few pages of your notebook. Every time you start a new collection, like your monthly log for October, or a custom collection for books to read, you simply flip to the index and add the topic and the page number. This simple habit solves the biggest problem with traditional notebooks. You no longer have to worry about where to put things or how to find them later. The index turns your notebook into a fully searchable database of your own mind. So, we have the daily log for the day-to-day, the monthly log for the bigger picture, the future log for what's to come, and the index to tie it all together. But there's one more piece to the system, and it is, without a doubt, the most powerful. It's a process called migration. At the end of every month, when you're setting up your new monthly log, you go back and review every single unfinished task from the month that just passed. This is where the bullet journal becomes more than just an organizational tool and transforms into a practice of mindfulness. For each open task, you have to make a conscious decision. The act of rewriting a task by hand into the new month forces you to pause and ask that all-important question again: does this still matter? It takes effort to rewrite things. That little bit of friction is the system's secret weapon. It's an incentive to be honest with yourself. If a task isn't worth the few seconds it takes to rewrite it, then it's probably not that important. It's a distraction. And you can let it go. This monthly migration is a built-in filtering system for your life. It keeps you from operating on autopilot, from blindly carrying over responsibilities that have expired. It forces you to continually curate your commitments, ensuring you're only investing your time and energy in the things that truly align with your goals and values. This is the bridge between the system and the practice. The system gives you the how to organize your thoughts. The practice gives you the why. It helps you figure out why you're doing what you're doing in the first place. And this brings us to the true heart of Ryder Carroll's message. Getting organized is great. It feels good. But it's just the surface. The real goal of the bullet journal method is to live an intentional life. What does that even mean? An intentional life is one where your actions are aligned with your beliefs. It's a life where you are the one making the choices, before other people's choices make you. So many of us are living a reactive life. We bounce from one stimulus to the next, constantly putting out fires, answering to other people's demands. There's no space between what happens to us and how we react. The practice of bullet journaling, especially the daily and monthly reflections, creates that space. Every morning, you have your AM reflection. You sit down with your journal for just a few minutes, review your tasks, and plan your day. You're not just making a to-do list, you're setting your priorities. You're deciding what matters most, before the day starts yelling at you. Every evening, you have your Prime Minister reflection. You review what you logged, cross off what you completed, and migrate what you didn't. This isn't just about updating your lists, it's a moment to learn. Why didn't I get to that task? Was it not a priority after all? What did I accomplish today that I can be proud of? These small, consistent moments of reflection are like a conversation you're having with yourself. Day by day, page by page, you're getting to know yourself better. You're becoming a witness to your own life. You start to see patterns. You see what brings you joy and what drains your energy. You see where your time is actually going, versus where you think it's going. This self-awareness is the foundation for everything else. It allows you to set goals that are truly your own, not ones you've borrowed from society or social media. And when it comes to achieving those goals, the bullet journal offers a brilliant framework that Carroll calls sprints. Instead of being intimidated by a massive, long-term goal like write a book or learn a new language, you break it down into small, self-contained projects, or sprints, that take a month or less to complete. So, learn a new language becomes Sprint 1. Learn the 100 most common words. That's a clear, manageable project with a defined end. When you complete it, you get a sense of accomplishment, which fuels your motivation for the next sprint. It turns a marathon into a series of satisfying, bite-sized wins. This is a profound shift. It moves the focus from the distant, often intimidating outcome, to the immediate, actionable process. And it's in the process that we find growth, learning, and even joy. Which leads to the final, and perhaps most important, idea in the book: the pursuit of meaning over happiness. So many of us are chasing happiness. We believe that if we just achieve that next goal, get that promotion, buy that thing, go on that vacation, then we'll be happy. But as we all know, it rarely works that way. The happiness we feel from achievement is often fleeting. Carroll, drawing on centuries of philosophy, suggests we have it backward. Happiness isn't a goal to be pursued, it's a byproduct. It's the feeling that arises when our life has meaning. So, the real question isn't how can I be happy? The real question is what is meaningful to me? The bullet journal doesn't give you the answer to that question. Nothing outside of you can. But what it does do is provide you with a practice to uncover it for yourself. It's in the quiet moments of reflection, when you look back at your logs and see what you chose to spend your life's most precious resources on, your time and your energy. It's in the process of migration, when you decide what's worth carrying forward into your future. It's in the goals you set, the sprints you run, and the lessons you learn along the way. Your journal becomes a living autobiography. It's the story of your choices, your actions, and your evolution. It allows you to see the narrative of your life as it unfolds. And if you don't like the story it's telling, it gives you the tools and the awareness to change it. Finally, a word about what you might see online. If you search for bullet journal, you'll find these incredibly beautiful, artistic, and often intimidating creations. It's easy to think, I can't do that. I'm not an artist. Carroll is very clear on this point. The only thing that matters in a bullet journal is the content, not the presentation. Its value is not in how it looks, but in how it makes you feel and how effective it is for you. Function over form. Always. If making it beautiful brings you joy and keeps you motivated, that's wonderful. But if it becomes a chore or another source of pressure, you're missing the point. The correct way to bullet journal is the way that works for you. It's a tool, not a test. A practice, not a performance. It's a system designed to help you track the past, so you can learn from it. Order the present, so you can live in it. And design the future, so you can build one you're proud of. Commentary. So, what do we take away from all of this? At its core, the bullet journal method is a quiet rebellion. In a world that is constantly screaming for our attention, pulling us in 1,000 different directions, it offers a simple, powerful way to reclaim our focus and our agency. It's an invitation to step away from the noise, even for just a few minutes a day, and reconnect with ourselves. The most profound lesson for me is the shift from productivity as a frantic race to get more done, to productivity as a calm, intentional practice of doing what matters. The system isn't about becoming a perfectly optimized machine. It's about becoming a more self-aware human being. It acknowledges that life is messy, unpredictable, and imperfect, and it gives you a framework that is flexible and forgiving enough to handle that reality. The beauty of this method is that it scales with your life. Right now, as a student, you might use it to track your assignments, plan your study sessions, and keep notes. But later, you might use it to plan a wedding, manage a business, track a new fitness goal, or, like the mother in our opening story, manage the critical details of a child's health. It becomes whatever you need it to be, in whatever season of life you find yourself. If you're feeling inspired to start, but also a little overwhelmed, here's my advice. Don't try to do everything at once. Start small. The power of this method lies in small, consistent actions. So tonight, try this. First, just grab a notebook, any notebook, and a pen. Second, do the mental inventory we talked about. Spend 15 minutes getting everything out of your head and onto paper. Just that one act can bring an incredible sense of relief and clarity. And third, tomorrow morning, open to a fresh page, write down the date, and start your first daily log. Don't worry about getting it perfect. Just capture your day as it happens. That's it. That's the first step on a journey that could genuinely change your life. That was a summary of the bullet journal method by Ryder Carroll. We've journeyed through the core ideas today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary is like looking at a photograph of a beautiful landscape. It can show you the scenery, but it can't give you the feeling of the sun on your skin or the wind in your hair. The real magic of this book happens when you read it for yourself. It's in the quiet moments when Carroll's simple wisdom clicks into place in a way that feels like it was written just for you. This summary is your map, to help you decide if this is a journey worth taking. If anything we've talked about today has struck a chord, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning a system, it's an experience that can fundamentally change the way you navigate your daily life. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this journey valuable, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. That way, you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book. Let's keep learning and growing together. Thank you for listening.